My name is Namiba and I'm a treatment advocate. A treatment advocate is somebody who quite simply takes complicated treatment information and breaks it down into language that people living with HIV or people who take treatment can actually understand. HIV is an organization that provides treatment information in different formats to people living with HIV. The reason why I tested for HIV was because I'd had what turned out to be hepatitis B. So I was quite ill, and so my GP suggested I do a test. To be honest with you, I don't really know, well, I didn't know that I had hepatitis B. So I was just pretty unwell. And so when I did manage to drag myself up to the GP's, he said, "Have you looked in the mirror?" And I was thinking, well, I've been quite unwell. Looking in the mirror wasn't a priority for me at that point. So in terms of whether it was two different GPs, so one diagnosed the hepatitis B, and the second one recognized that perhaps I should have an HIV test. I didn't feel at risk at all. It wasn't something that I connected with myself. So I guess without the prompt, I wouldn't really have tested. What made it really difficult for me to either take the test or go for the result was, I think, fear coupled with uncertainty, exacerbated by the fact that my elder brother had just disclosed his status to us. And unfortunately, because it was the pre-HIV treatment era, he was really, really ill, and he had almost every opportunistic infection. So these are the infections that you can get when your immune system is quite compromised. And so he had TB, he had meningitis, he had Kaposi sarcoma. Basically, he was really ill, and he spent a lot of time in and out of hospital. And so he subsequently died a year later. And so for me, it was really difficult to test, because although I wanted to know, I was also very afraid, and because I could almost see my life unfolding in front of my eyes. So the fear was something that really made it really difficult for me to test. By off chance, one day I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she said, "Look, Angelina, I have something to tell you." And I said, "Yeah, what is it?" And she said, "I'm HIV positive." And I just went, thank God. Not because I was happy that she was positive, but just the mere fact that here was another woman living with HIV. Because up to that point, I didn't think there was any other woman in London living with HIV. For me, the kind of things I've seen over the years since my diagnosis, I feel there's been a huge shift in terms of how people perceive HIV, but also in more realistic terms is the fact that an HIV diagnosis nowadays is no longer the death sentence that it used to be, because pretty much now with access to and careful use of treatment, people living with HIV can expect to have a near normal life expectancy, just like somebody else not diagnosed with HIV. And I feel that just having that information has changed, or has the potential to change people's perceptions in terms of whether they test or not, whether they access services or not. In terms of testing, I feel that it's really important that people test, because just for the simple reason that if you know your status, you can do something about it.